let's be super clear about why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in today. It lands 100% at the feet of Justin Trudeau.
The Liberal Party of Canada is literally eating itself alive. And it's both embarrassing and quite entertaining to watch. So we're going to be getting into all of what is going around right now following Donald Trump yesterday, the inauguration, announcing that he's postponing tariffs until February 1st, allegedly. Also, Trudeau has another beyond wacko message for both Canadians and Donald Trump that I think really just further makes Donald Trump hate him. One of such clips actually made me feel really mad, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. And then on top of that, Justin Trudeau gets absolutely humiliated, eviscerated, and torn apart on CTV News. It was awesome. I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. Subscribe, like, share, comment, follow, whatever the heck it is you want to do if you want to support this channel. It really does mean the world. So let's get into it with the reactions following Donald Trump's inauguration.
As Donald Trump was officially inaugurated yesterday as President of the United States, my cabinet and I have gathered here with a singular focus: upholding our long-standing friendship with the United States and protecting Canada against potential tariffs.
Are you sure about that one?
Glaringly obvious to everyone except for certain MAGA conservatives.
Juvenile playground insults from the wannabe MAGA maple syrup conservatives.
Donald Trump said that. Why are conservatives repeating the MAGA lines?
Influences from the Trumpist MAGA Republicans in the U.S.
This leader of the opposition is no different than Donald Trump in the United States.
That the conservatives seem to be advocating for the far right in this country.
But then turn right around, just like Donald Trump would.
That had more to do with the MAGA right and that MAGA right movement moving into Canada through the leader of the Conservative Party today.
Shall we continue?
We heard the President's comments yesterday and the directive he has issued to examine the trade relationship between Canada and the United States while exploring the possibility of tariffs. But we remain confident in the facts. Canadian energy powers American manufacturing, businesses, and homes. On top of that, President Trump said that he wants to usher in a golden age for the United States. That will require more steel and aluminum, more critical minerals, more reliable and affordable energy, more of everything to run the U.S. economy full steam ahead. Canada has all those resources.
Yeah, but Canada isn't the only country that offers those resources. Far from, actually. And with Canadian taxes and whatnot, it is quite expensive for pretty well anybody to do business here, which is another point that Trudeau gets asked on that I thought was quite hilarious. But what are Donald Trump's requests, okay? He said, you got to fix your border. We got to fix all your migrants, which, yeah, we absolutely do. We need to vet our immigration recipients far better than we currently do, because actually most people don't get vetted at all. Like all of those refugees, over 5,000 I was reading from Gaza, they don't get vetted. No, they come here. They have been completely indoctrinated and radicalized by the regions that they're from. They come to Canada. They're not given any mental health support at all. They're not given any tools to assimilate to society. Why do you think things are the way that they are right now? Why do you think there's attacks being planned in Canada that get broken up by not Canadian authorities? Let's make that very clear. The bust that happened in Toronto recently, that was not due to Canadian authorities. That was due to French intelligence, because our security, our borders are very, very lackluster. And that is a major concern. When Trudeau goes and increases all of the immigration to the lengths that he has for the sole purpose of being able to lie and mislead about the debt to GDP ratio, because anybody who knows anything about economics will tell you that when you increase your immigration, you'll be able to temporarily spike those numbers so that it looks really good. And they can say, oh, we're the best in the G7, but we're not actually. And we are on the brink of absolute collapse and absolute disaster, because when you add in an extra couple 100,000 people to your to your country that you cannot sustain, you cannot house, you don't have jobs for them, you don't have supports for them, you are going to absolutely collapse. That is inevitable. It is going to happen. It is already happening here. Donald Trump wants us to meet our NATO requirements, which, yeah, we should do that, not just for our own benefit, but also from morality's sake. Why would you agree to something that you have zero intent on following through on? Ew.
And we stand at the ready to work with the United States to create a booming and secure North American economy.
Really? Do we? Actions speak louder than words, my guy. We learned that in grade school. And here's what your own minister and yourself, Mr. Trudeau, had to say about that. And then we'll get into some of the nitty gritty afterwards.
That we already have for large polluters in the country. That's certainly an avenue. There are other things we're working on. We're deploying a cap on pollution from the oil and gas sector will be a key component of our tool to ensure that every sector of the Canadian economy, whether it's the aluminum sector, steel sector, auto sector, or oil and gas sector, does its fair share when it comes the time to reducing.
You have a country, Canada, oh, we're going to make this a really profitable economy for North America. Are you? Because you're actually trying to stifle your own economy by putting on these production caps, right? And here's just a nice little cherry on top. Let's listen to the Antichrist demon, Stephen Guilbeault, talk about the reason why Canadians don't like the carbon price.
How did the Liberals lose so badly on policy that's been around for 5 years? What went wrong?
Pierre Poilievre went wrong, and he lied and manipulated Canadians on this issue, because for a number of years, large amount of Canadians were in favor of the consumer pricing.
Oh, were they? Says who? Because like literally every poll that's been done since the beginning of this introduction has said the opposite, but okay.
And through a campaign that has largely lied and misled Canadians, he's made it a very unpopular policy.
No, you have lied. You have misled Canadians. You made it a very unpopular policy. Moving on to the same topic, Justin Trudeau and how he wants to do the exact opposite and completely kill our production and economy on this exact same note.
So people are stuck in a situation where they know climate change is bad, but they also know that if they can't put food on the table this week, and if they can't stabilize their living situation this year, how bad it's going to be 10 years from now, or how terrible it'll be for their grandkids, has to fall second to taking care of their family, their loved ones, and themselves right now. Fighting climate change right now is going to help you right now, in your job right now, in your family finances right now, in how you feel right now about the future.
The power of Christ compels you, Mr. Trudeau. Please get out of my life. Like, disgusting rhetoric. And, you know, it also goes back to something that a lot of people have said, where the poorest countries care the least about climate change, because caring about climate change is one of the most privileged things ever. The hierarchy of needs there, if your other needs are not met, how on earth can you think or give a rat's about climate change? You just can't. You simply cannot. You're literally forcing your population into poverty, which makes them less likely to care about the climate, because you can't care about the climate when you can't afford to live. And also his rhetoric, oh, it's going to make things so much worse. It doesn't. There's no evidence at all to prove that. Actually, that's been debunked several times. Acid rain. Yeah, that never happened. Ice Age. Yep, never happened. Now, putting those disastrous policies aside, he said that, you know, we're going to work hard and focus on having a very strong, thriving, prosperous economy in North America. Let's just go through some of that. So challenges, the biggest challenges facing investment and the economy in Canada. Number one, regulatory burdens and red tape. The regulatory environment in Canada is such a massive deterrent environment for businesses because there is such an extreme, unlike other countries, permitting process, especially when it comes to oil and gas. That has caused tons of delays. That has caused tons of discouraged investment. It has caused tons of businesses who start up shop here to end up pulling out. And then we have these half-built spaces because they were like, this is actually really stupid and we're going to go invest this somewhere else.
You had mentioned earlier that you're going to continue to try and make the case that Canada is the right place to invest. Businesses prefer certainty. They look south and they say, well, we know what we're going to get down there. So how do you convince businesses that Canada is still the place to be?
I would suggest that part of Donald Trump's approach does bring in uncertainty, whether he's going to move forward on tariffs on their closing trading partners or not. I think businesses look for, and investors look for reliability and predictability, yes. And Canada has demonstrated both through a successful negotiation of the USMCA in the first term, and through continued deepening of trade ties and prosperity across our border, that Canada remains a strong and stable place to invest, because we will always be a robust and successful partner to the U.S. economy.
Skilled workers and capital are increasingly leaving Canada for countries with lower taxes. We see tons of that with doctors and nurses who have left Canada to go work in the United States, where they make way more money. They have a way better job structure. They're leaving Canada because the cost of living is lower elsewhere, the taxes are lower, and their quality of life is significantly better compared to what Canada has to offer. The United States is very, very business friendly. Canada is not.
You know, we spoke to Dominic LeBlanc this morning, and we were talking about the First Minister's meeting, and he said, you know, we got a grade of 12 out of 13, which is like an A+ grade, but it's not perfect. Presumably Alberta was the grade that they didn't quite get. And then you have Premier Ford saying that it left him with the impression that maybe you weren't putting Canada first, you're putting Alberta first. What do you say to that?
Well, I can tell you I would never go out publicly and say we should stop selling car parts as a way of making a point to the Americans and hurt Ontario. I'd never go out and say we should stop selling aluminum to Americans as a way to make a point to hurt Quebec. And it hurt me that they felt that they could make that same argument, that Alberta should sacrifice our interests in order to try to advance some kind of trade war. I take a different approach. Let's stop fighting with each other. Let's maybe try to remove some of the internal trade barriers. Maybe my fellow premiers can stop blocking pipelines when we propose them to either the West or East Coast. And maybe this should be a moment of reckoning for us as a country, that part of the reason all of us look north-south is because for the years have made it very difficult to do business east-west. So maybe that's what we should be talking about, is each other, so collectively we can sell our products to the world, whether that's to America or whether it's off the West Coast or whether it's off the East Coast. And maybe that's a far more constructive conversation to have than how do you sacrifice one province's interests in order to be able to protect the rest. And fortunately, we don't have to have that conversation today because we don't have tariffs, and we have the ability to have both of those conversations, a constructive conversation with each other and then a constructive conversation with our American friends.
So for sure that conversation is not today. There are enough things for people to talk and worry about today. But somewhere there is a playbook about what to do if the conversation has to happen tomorrow. And if the conversation comes down to a potential export tariff or a ban from Canada, from Ottawa, what's in your playbook?
Well, my playbook is to talk with the incoming Secretary of the Interior and the incoming Secretary of Energy and ask if they want to double our oil and gas production and double our oil and gas export. That's where I'm going next. I believe that we should be talking about how we sell more to America, not less, and that we should be talking to America about how we can buy more from them too. If they really are concerned that we're not buying enough, well then let's buy more gas turbines, let's buy more AI infrastructure, let's buy more military equipment. This is the constructive conversation that we need to have, and I think we need to stop with the threats and start talking about diplomacy and collaboration, because that's where we're going to find a solution.
And this right here is probably one of the dumbest things I'm not even shocked by it, but it is so dumb what Justin Trudeau is planning to do here. Just listen to this.
They're ready for this. They have a plan. They had a plan before, and that plan is still the plan. They are going to respond. A couple key points, though. They're considering dollar-for-dollar tariffs. That's something that the Prime Minister said he supports and that they're going to take a look at. There will be support for Canadians and Canadian businesses if they do institute retaliatory tariffs, because obviously in the same way that American consumers would be the ones who pay ultimately for the tariffs that Donald Trump imposes, if we respond in kind, it'll be Canadian consumers.
That was just worse, and then it got even worse. His game plan is to hurt the economy and then double whammy hurt the economy and taxpayers even more by subsidizing the initial hurt on the economy that he wants to impose. Like, what? What?
We all held fast to our belief that in the face of economic uncertainty, growth doesn't come by turning inwards and putting up walls. It comes from welcoming new opportunities, opening up to workers and investors, making economic activity easier.
Let's be super clear about why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in today. It lands 100% at the feet of Justin Trudeau, who even just a few weeks ago gave a speech where he thought it was an affront to women that Kamala Harris didn't win. We're in a trade negotiation with a brand new administration, and we have a prime minister who keeps on poking his finger in the eye of the current administration and has damaged that relationship. So if there's a failure, it lands at his feet, which is why I'm counting down the days to when he's gone and we can have a reset. It's 47 days to go. And I hope he doesn't continue torching the relationship in the meantime.
But what has the Trudeau government done instead? Well,
Right-wing rhetoric in the United States with MAGA conservatives, the rise of a right-wing American MAGA-influenced thinking. That is the danger of the rise of the right-wing influence that is feeling its impact in Canada.
He is exactly like Donald Trump. He's employing the exact same tactics. He's receiving the exact same money using the exact same way that Donald Trump would do that.
MAGA politics are making their way into the Conservative Party.
To the bullying, MAGA style of their leader. Is it because there are several members that are MAGA style conservatives?
MAGA conservative looks much more like MAGA. Under the leadership of the far-right MAGA leader.
The alt-right MAGA Republican politics of the states.
This is a Donald Trump type tactic from the MAGA right, and it seeps in to the leader of the Conservative Party.
You see, I don't think that Justin Trudeau thought that Donald Trump was actually going to win, so he used that as a wedge against the Conservatives in Canada, and ooh, it is definitely backfiring.
And my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada. Let's be deliberate about the choices we make.
Wow, is that ever rich? Coming from a man who has the ability to think ahead similar to a 5-year-old, let's say, who just can't help himself. Doesn't even matter what's on the line. He just can't resist any opportunity to be a bully, to be a weak leader that nobody should look up to. And look at how much these strong leaders are stomping all over him. You see that with the polls right now in Canada. You see that with Donald Trump's response.
Because we do have to be realistic. We're an economy that's 1/10 the size of the Americans. That we are far more reliant on the trade relationship with them than they are on us. And so trying a tit-for-tat tariff war without addressing the underlying issues it's not going to go well for Canada. So I don't think it can hurt to try the diplomatic approach and try to take a win-win.
I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. We are going to be talking a lot more about Trump, the tariffs, Trudeau, lots of stuff coming out from Danielle Smith as well. So stay tuned for that. There was some stuff I wanted to include in today's video that I decided I'll probably just talk about a little bit more tomorrow as everything is developing. It's like every single time I refresh, there's something new. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment, follow, all of that stuff. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Also, as a little personal note, if you have made it this far, I have a little idea. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. I have had the greatest honor of being a guest on several different podcasts, some of them very notable YouTubers and streamers and whatnot. Would you be interested, because there's a lot of conversations that we have that, while not directly pertaining to the breaking news of the day, are still good. Like, they're really insightful. I suppose also, if you're interested, you get to know me a little bit better as well. So I'm thinking about maybe doing early morning posts where I will just schedule some clips and whatnot from those conversations. And then I'll, in the evening still, I'll do my regular content of whatever the breaking news hot topics are of the day. Is that something you care about? Would you like to see more of that? Would you watch it? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that as well in the comments down below. Okay, for real this time, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you soon.